I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
Hi, this is Dan, owner of Dan's Diesel Performance.
I'm Christian Roth of BD Diesel.
I'm Braden Fleece, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today on the Diesel Podcast. Today we've got a really cool episode. We're going to have Ryan Milliken from Hardway Performance. We're going to have Chase Fleece from Fleece Performance, John from Freedom Racing Engines, on all at the same time. Ryan drove up to Indiana, and he's doing some testing and dynoing of a new engine for a brand new car that he's going to be putting this engine in. And you guys remember from several years ago, we chatted with Ryan about his green Nova and why he chose to put a Cummins in it and the class he was racing in. And this car has a whole new set of goals, and he's aiming really high for what he wants to accomplish and where he wants to take it. And when he built that green Nova, he really pushed diesel racing into a different level of competition, and it did so much industry wide for diesel performance, for going fast, for times, for tons of different things. So we're really excited to be able to learn about this car and what the guys have planned for it. Before we get to it, though, we want to give a shout out to a couple sponsors who make episodes like this one possible, and that's Mishimoto. They have a ton of different products for cooling, whether it's transmission or just so many different parts of your diesel truck that you want to keep control of fluid temperatures. They have it on there, and we've chatted with them about radiators and transmission coolers and even intercoolers before. And so if you're looking to make sure that your truck maintains those temps, check out Mishimoto.com. You can see what they have based on your year and make truck, or if it's custom application, they've got those as well. And for our shop owners out there, we know there's a lot of you guys that listen to the podcast. If you have a customer that walks in is looking for Mishimoto products, or you're looking to stock some on the shelf and be able to get your customers back up on the road quickly, check out Turn 14 Distribution. The guys over there are really cool. They have diesel enthusiasts that, when you call in, that's your account manager. So they know exactly what you're looking for. They know what diesel customers want, so they can help you. And if you like to work online, you're busy multitasking and want to jump on their website, you can see what's in stock, what the price is, shipping options. You get emailed invoices right away, receipts, tracking. They make it super easy to be able to get parts into your shop and make sure your customers are getting taken care of as quickly as possible. All right, let's get to the podcast with Ryan, Chase, and John, and chatting about some diesel racing. All right, guys, this is really cool to be able to chat with so many all-stars in the diesel industry at one time. I don't think we've ever had so much expertise on it on one episode. So I'm glad to have Ryan Milliken, Chase Fleece, John from Freedom Racing Engines. I'm really excited to be able to chat with you guys today and give our listeners some updates on what Ryan's doing with racing and some things that Fleece and Freedom are cooking up for him. So I'm glad to have you guys on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be a part of it.
As always, appreciated.
Yeah, Ryan, it's been a little bit since we chatted, and last time we were talking about the green Nova that you had, and there was a big change. I wanted to have you update us all on the new car and what your goals are for it and what you've been working on.
So the old car, it did very well. It was X275. That's not what the car was built for, but that's where we stuffed it in. So the big difference between that car and this car is this one is actually from the ground up a purpose-built X275 competitor, purpose-built from the ground up, meant to have a Cummins in it. No retrofit stuff, all the latest and greatest updated technology. My number one goal with the car is to get right back where I was with the other car as far as a short-term goal. And then my long-term goal initially with the car is I'd really love to make a valid attempt at an X275 points championship with a diesel-powered race car.
That's going to be really cool to see you go for that. I know it did a lot for, I don't even remember when we did that episode. Maybe it was 3 years ago or 4. But you had told us about wanting to take a diesel engine in a car and go compete in the gas world, and why that was so important for legitimizing racing. And you did that. And so I think with this, there's always a lot of people that watch you. They always have. They love to see what you're doing, because you don't you don't dream small or think small. You think big, and then you go out there and do it. And I've seen on Instagram and Facebook when you've talked about this, just how many people are paying attention. I know there's a lot of people rooting for you to be able to do it.
Yeah, this car, unlike my other car, where when I put the Cummins in it, basically I got nothing but hate mail. Everybody calling me every name under the sun. What idiot would chop up a perfectly good Nova and put a diesel in it? And I think one of them's in this room right here saying that he didn't do it. But
that was one of my favorite digs on Ryan, is you cut up a perfectly good Nova and put a Cummins in it.
Yep, but now this time I think we set the precedent with the other car. Now everybody's watching, knowing that can work, and it will work. And not directly because of anything that we've done, but when I first started putting this blue car together, the original target weight per the X275 rules was 2925. And as of current, the rules have been updated, and now I have to weigh 3,000 pounds. So I basically got 75 pounds of weight thrown at me, and it hasn't even come off jack stands yet. So that along with having the highest base weight in the whole class, where when we first came into X275, we were basically allowed to weigh whatever, because what six-cylinder would go fast enough to have to weigh as much as these other turbo small block cars. So it's definitely a different environment going into this one, or going in with this car versus where we had the other car. But like you said, we're not swinging for the infield here, and we have no intention of stopping until we have a race car that will print tickets and go as fast as we want whenever we want.
So you're up there at Fleece Performance. You got Chase and John from Freedom Racing Engines there. What are you guys working on? What are you guys planning out, or getting parts ready, doing testing? What do you guys have going on?
Well, we put together a class-specific engine that I think was a 365 cubic inch. Was
Yep,
the
365 cubic inches, 150-pound weight break.
So we took advantage of that, and we're building our version of a 5.9 to meet that rule. So we're looking forward to playing with that, and we know that we can make the power. Ryan also gets a weight break, I guess, for running a little bit smaller turbo. We went with an 85 millimeter GT55 on that. So we're trying to take advantage of the rules and play in the gray as much as possible. So we know how much power we need to make, and that's the goal of the engine dyno session this week. So really looking forward to getting the thing on there, and we've got a few tricks up our sleeve on this thing. So we're looking forward to getting it done.
As far as getting the car ready, and I know there's so much that's going to go into it, what's the goal to have it ready to start making some passes? Just even just testing, things like that.
Short of having paint on the car, I'm looking to actually have the car functional and mobile by January 1st. There is a race down in South Florida in Bradenton, I believe the last weekend of January. I was hoping to have a couple of local test passes in, and I wanted to make that race the first race the car goes to. And if everything goes well there, if it plays out right in my head, it's probably going to go to that race not painted. And if it behaves and I don't have to do a bunch of major work to it between then and Lights Out, which is the really important race to me at South Georgia Motorsports Park at the end of February, I'm hoping that the car can go to paint during that time and show up at South Georgia Motorsports Park with a fresh paint job, and hopefully by then going the speed and ET we needed to go.
And when you're thinking about the impact of this car, I remember so much about the green one, and I remember how when you did that episode with us, I'd see messages or comments and things from people, and they go, well, why is he doing that? Why doesn't he just use stick with a truck and do this other class? And you had a much bigger plan for it, and we've seen it catch on, and how it's helped so much in the racing side, the motorsports side of it. If you are successful with this, or when you are successful with it, I'll say, is what kind of impact do you think it's going to have on diesel racing or high performance? When
I'm successful with the car, what kind of what kind of impact do you think that it'll have on like the industry or like other racers? Or
I think on the industry, the diesel industry specifically.
well, I mean, the goal has always been to show people that those of us in the diesel industry are just as capable of going as fast as everybody else, given the same set of rules. And I think it ultimately legitimizes the fact that we're not just playing with a bunch of tractors, and we absolutely can run with everybody else. So I don't want to say I've started a trend, but I've started a trend with specifically diesel powered Novas. It seems like. I mean, I have my first one. It'll be back out next year. My blue one will be out next year as well. And there's rumors of another one from another camp. Actually, I believe it's a 70 Nova coming out. And from what I'm told, they're also coming out to play an X275. So there very well may be 3 diesel-powered X275 Novas next year. So essentially, we've taken everybody from looking at a diesel engine in the performance industry as something you're only ever going to find in a tow truck to them wondering why all of a sudden these things are showing up at the racetrack, on the racetrack, to now wondering why they just got beat by one and how much it costs to have one of those. So we're going the right direction for sure.
And it's crazy to see how many people, like I have a lot of people who will get a hold of me when Ryan's at a race and be like, oh my God, did you guys build the engine that's in this car? It is so freaking fast. Like, I can't believe how cool this is. And it's kind of started something that a lot of people, like, I don't know if they didn't think about it or just, you know what I mean, just never thought that could happen for real, and it did.
Well,
and it's changed and broke down a lot of barriers.
We've done a lot of dyno racing over the years, but translating 2,500 horsepower on the dyno in a graph and then taking that and translating that over to 2,500 horsepower worth of trap speed, given the same set of rules as your competitor with a small block Chevy nitrous motor or even a blown Hemi out there, given the same set of rules and keeping up with them. And it's just awesome to see everybody's reaction on their faces at the end of the track. Like, how fast did that thing just go? 170. How much horsepower does that take? 2,600 and change.
I think we should really also focus on the fact that common rail injection and modern control systems are really the breadwinners of the reasons why we can have these diesel cars doing what they're doing. 10 years ago there was the grandfathers of the industry. A lot of those guys with Pro Street running mechanical engines and whatnot. They paved the road for us, but they were all just blowing smoke like crazy down the track, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously I live in the truck pulling world where we blow plenty of smoke, but these diesel cars, it's fun to see them go down the track, and you can read the scoreboard at the end of the track, and there's plenty of people representing us well in the industry right now. So it's a fun time to be involved in motorsports.
Yeah, on that subject, the ECU we're using in this car is a Motec ECU. It's my first time with it. I had a Bosch in the green car. The Bosch was functional. It was clunky. It was hard to use. Required tons of tech support from outside help, because I had no idea what the heck I was doing with it when I first got it. But I'm hoping this Motec will get me everywhere we need to go and do everything I needed to do without being hopefully half as complicated as that Bosch was. But even if we were to go back 10 years ago, like Chase said, we've had common rails for 17 years now in the Cummins world. 19 years. Yeah, so we're going on 20 years of common rail technology, but 10 years ago, nobody was really using these aftermarket ECUs like we are now. And a street-based or a stock-based ECU that would come in an early common rail truck just doesn't have the control that we have over these engines to do what we need to do to properly put 2,000 plus horsepower down to a 9.5-inch tread pattern drag radial.
Before S&S was S&S, you had Andrew Stauffer, who was a Bosch guy that was messing around with these ECUs and was always telling us how cool they were, but he was pretty much the only guy that knew what to do with them. And obviously that world's changed a lot, and they've supported the industry quite a bit, as well as, Exergy and other fuel companies. The standalone ECU is really it's really paved the way for, I guess, people like Firepunk and Shaddy and Ryan, and who else has got one of them?
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
They're actually becoming a lot more common.
But I guess what I'm getting
The
at,
Rudy's crew has the
yeah,
Motec.
in Motec.
Corey's PPDI car has a Motec in it.
Yeah, these have paved the road, because you could do it with a factory ECU, but man,
when you look at it in that aspect, it's not that much different than the gas industry. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, everyone was running a carburetor in the gas industry. Everybody had, coil on plug ignition wasn't a huge thing. The big crazy fuel injection systems wasn't really a huge thing. If you were at the racetrack, you were typically going to see a whole bunch of carburetors and a bunch of nitrous cars with blow-through carbs and all that stuff. So that carburetor is basically the same thing as our mechanical pump, right? And then when the LS platform came out, and that platform became basically tunable with all the aftermarket EFILIVEs and HP tuners and stuff like that. And now everybody in the drag racing, at least in the Door Slammer drag racing world, has switched over to Hall Tech, Fuel Tech, Holley EFI, and all that. So this Motec system and the Bosch Motorsports ECU is essentially our version of a Hall Tech or a Fuel Tech, where you have one platform that runs the entire car. And what's cool about the Motec system is it can actually run a gas car too. So in the future, if we want to move on to something else and take this blue car and repurpose it somewhere else or sell it, with a wiring update, we can drop a Hemi in it. We can drop whatever we want and run with the same ECU in it. So, but it's that kind of technology that's allowed us to advance to where we are with these cars.
And Chase and John, when Ryan comes to you guys with an idea and a vision for what he wants to do, on your guys' end, what kind of opportunities and challenges does it provide you guys to deliver the engine and the setup that he's going to need to go out there and race and meet his goal?
Well, challenge one is it's Ryan. So, from my standpoint, from the build side of things, it's always we need to build something that's going to be able to handle what Ryan's going to throw at it, right? So, when a project like this comes up, usually involves Chase and I sitting down at the desk and drawing it up and figuring out, and there's some going back and forth over this or that, and we'll weigh each option and kind of come up with a game plan. And then inherently there's always a little bit of bumps in the roads and hiccups as you start to go through the process. And this project's unique in that we're using an iron block, and so we have kind of a whole new set of challenges, and it's almost like taking new technology and combining it with what stuff we were doing 5-6 years ago and putting it all together. So
yeah, you're always building and improving upon what you did yesterday. The engine that he's getting, the parts combo, I'm not going to say it's way too much different really than what we originally started with the green car. There's a lot of proven parts in there, but there's also some improvements that have been made along the way. With advancements in the fuel injection side, and the turbocharger, stuff like that. We know we're going to be making more horsepower than we were when we started this thing. But the nuts and bolts of it, the engine's it's really pretty simple. Anybody that wanted to call up and order something to race with, they could get the same thing. It's not an overly crazy one-off build. It's pretty common.
Yeah, by no means this car is. You could take the engine out of this car, with the exception of we have it poured solid.
Yeah.
What is it? It's not concrete.
Epoxy.
Yeah, it's epoxy filled. But if you were to take this exact same combo and not fill it with epoxy, you could literally bolt it in any truck out there, and go do whatever it is you want to do with it. It's not a wild one-off billet piece, which is I think another thing that makes this car pretty special. Is that it's a lot more relatable to all of our customers, because I pop the hood off and they see the same engine that's in their truck. So,
and that's one thing we went with, cast iron obviously on this go around, because there's a significant weight break And that's just the direction we wanted to go. Our billet block, we've been working on it and we're making progress, but we weren't ready to throw it in there just yet. And as Ryan and I got to talking, we thought that honestly the cast iron block and head would actually be a benefit to us with the weight. So obviously that's the direction we went. There may be a day, that we need to go ahead and do the aluminum block so he can run Pro 275 or whatever else and actually have a chance.
It'd be either Pro 275 or LDR is the next place to race the car in, but I've got a lot of unfinished business in X275 to tend to first, so
and
we'll be here. We'll be here for a minute.
And that is a whole nother challenge in itself too. Is like looking out to the future of, Ryan, the car. They're going to tell us what we need to know to keep improving on the platform that we have, and or maybe we in the future have to transition, like you said, Chase, into an aluminum block or whatever it might be. Those are the unknowns that you have to just be able to shift and move and fix and adjust. And
Yeah, I think with taking, it's like you mentioned, Ryan and Chase, with being able to replicate it and how it isn't just a one-off custom thing that you guys are building. It's so much that you are learning through this car and this goal and this vision that there's going to be so much that comes out of it. So in the future, you guys are growing as the vision for the car grows. And I think that it's just so amazing to think of, where things are at right now while we're talking versus 7, 8, 10 years ago, what the idea of going fast or high performance has completely changed. And so I think, with the meeting of the minds that you guys have there and the processes and the expertise and everything that's going to be taking place on this build, it's going to be really exciting to follow it, not just in 2021, but going forward. Now, as far as what this does, say for Freedom Racing engines on other builds, things that you guys learn on Ryan's car, is some of those lessons and technology, is that able to translate into other engines that you guys offer?
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at our basic street, Cummins cylinder head that we offer, like the seat technology, the parts and pieces that we use, were derived from the performance and the things that we've done over the years. Whether it was Ryan's black truck or the Nova or whatever, all of that technology came out of the things that we were doing. The stupid, silly, crazy, high horsepower builds that we've done, we've taken all that and added it into our, normal off-the-shelf, reman cylinder heads, engine builds. So, like, that's how we help better our products across the board, is by proving them in the harshest environment and then figuring out how to put them into just the stuff that, the general consumer might need. So
the link between the racing or the high performance stuff and just what a consumer, what a truck owner can call in and buy is light years different than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, at Freedom, I get phone calls from everything from just, I need a stock engine for my pickup truck because it's hurt and I use my truck for, towing for a living, to, customers like Ryan or Derek or any of our guys that we're working with on these bigger projects. And, that's the goal, is to always continue to learn and grow and continue to better our products and develop more technology as we go to make everything we do, from stock to, super crazy stuff like Ryan's car, make it last.
Which you definitely learn a lot over the years. I mean, it goes without saying our company's rooted in continuous improvement. That's, one of our main goals here throughout, from the turbo shop to the engine shop to the truck shop. But what we really like to do is when we can pass that on to the consumer, through all of our products, obviously we find something wrong with something, we're going to improve it to the current best product that we have. And cylinder heads, like John said, that's a great example of how the racing and the UCC and the truck pulling, how that has transferred over to the guys that are using the trucks every day to make a living.
I did a podcast not long ago with Lenny Reed from Dynomite Diesel Products, and we were talking about just how this year has been with basically a lack of, events and different things. And he was telling me about, what he feels 2021 is going to be, and how much of a leap forward that, the average diesel enthusiast is going to see, out there on the racetrack. And I wanted to ask you guys, as far as this year and some of the downtime that's existed, has it allowed you guys to really be able to take time, think about things, test things, come up with new ideas that maybe you wouldn't have if, events and races are going, all through the spring and summer and the end of fall?
Well, honestly, much to our surprise this year, like you would think there would be some time to do that, but this has been one of our busiest years on record. Obviously, we've, focused on, process improvement, getting things done quicker through the shop, but we really haven't had the time that we were hoping to have to, work on side projects and, R&D, which usually I kind of try to do that in the winter, and I think we're kind of getting close to where we can work more on those projects. But this year, it's been a blur with COVID and everything going on, and being uncertain, not knowing, what the industry is going to do. We've been extremely busy, and we're blessed beyond belief that it has been that way. Ryan, I don't know, how about you? Your guys' business has been slammed, or?
Business is, I run a racetrack as well. The racetrack business has been amazing because we're outdoors. It's a normal place for people to go, and it's worked out really well. Shop business has been about the same, but with a lot of the larger events across the country getting canceled, it allowed me to not have to travel as much as I would have this year. So honestly, if this were a normal year, I don't think I would have been able to make the progress to be where I'm at with the car had it been a normal year, because there would have been so many more weekends and weeks where I'm gone. Specifically right now, we wouldn't have the time to do this engine dyno stuff, and the car's up at S&S right now getting the final wiring harness installed and all that. And if it were a normal year, we'd all be at PRI right now at a trade show. So no work would be getting done on the car whatsoever. But instead, I'm planning on going home from this trip with this motor that we beat on for a while on the engine dyno in the frame rails, ready to go to Florida for me to slap a drive shaft in and start doing real work on it. Like, it's so, Chase has been busy, everybody's been busy. The Fleece boys have been busy, but their timeline for me has worked out perfect. And I think this year was a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you, because I feel like if it was a normal year, it would be, let's just be real, it'd probably be April or May before I got to where I'm at on the car right now, because I'd be traveling so much and working on everybody else's stuff. So it's actually worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I think this year's just been, obviously for everybody in the country, a different set of challenges, but it's been good in a lot of different ways. It's made all of us look at the business and how we operate differently, to have more time to focus on doing more R&D and things like that. Like Chase said, the shop's been just crazy busy, which is good, but it's also allowed us to, I think, do a little bit more R&D, and there's a little bit more budget for that. And then with the racers being off quite a bit this year, we have actually done a little bit more development in the pulling stuff, working on Ryan's stuff, but as a whole, it's definitely been an interesting year. I'm ready for 2020 to be over.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah.
And looking forward to 2021, and I think Lenny Reed's spot on. I think 2021 is going to be nuts. I think you will see a lot of cool stuff. I think a lot of people have things going on that are going to get debuted in 2021, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, I'm sure you guys have some more testing and some things to finish up today, and I don't want to pull you guys away from helping Ryan get his car, ready to go. But I appreciate you guys sitting down, chatting with us, telling us about the car and what you're working on, and we're all really excited, like you guys mentioned, for 2020 to be over and for next year to start and be able to see you make some passes, Ryan.
2,350 horsepower or bust.
Appreciate the time. Always good to be on.
Thanks, Patrick.
Don't forget, diesel fans, make sure and head on over to Mishimoto.com if you're looking for products to be able to keep your diesel truck running as smoothly and cool and efficiently as you need it to, whether it's radiators, transmission coolers, intercoolers, or there's a ton of other products that they have. Let's go to Mishimoto.com, check those out. And for our shop owners that are listening, if you're looking to get Mishimoto products, make sure and give a call over to Turn 14 Distribution. Get set up. If you're not, they'll get you a login, an account manager, phone number, everything that you need to be able to make sure you get parts to your shop as quickly as possible. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.